Lesson 3 Running Out of Water Part 2ではまた3の10の皆さん頑張っていきましょう。How badly do we need water? How much do we really use? The answers may surprise you. Yes, we need water for such everyday household functions as drinking, bathing, and sanitation. In the United States, we each use an average of about 100 gallons per day for basic household functions. These 100 gallons, however, represent only a small portion of our actual water footprint. The total amount of fresh water used directly and indirectly by consumers and manufacturers. Most of the water we use is spent in producing the food we eat, whether vegetables, grain, or meat. In the United States, our total water footprint is 1,800 gallons per person per day. This is 1.5 times the figure for the developed world and twice the world average. Developed nations in particular use an enormous amount of water. So, how much do we need water? The answer may surprise you. So, we need water to drink, to bathe, or even for sanitation. In the United States, we use an average of about 100 gallons per day for basic household functions. These 100 gallons, however, represent only a small portion of our actual water footprint. もっともっと多いということですね。So, they are using much, much more. This is the water footprint. So, the water footprint. The total amount of fresh water used directly and indirectly by consumers and manufacturers. And most of the water we use is spent to produce the food, such as vegetables, grain, or meat. And in the United States, the total water footprint is 1,800 gallons. This 108,000 gallons is much more than other people. For example, other developed world, they are using 1,200 gallons. So this is 1.5 times. The United States people are using 1.5 times than more than developed world people. And the world average is 900 gallons. So this means that people in the United States are using twice the world average. And developed nations in particular use an enormous amount of water. As the diagram below shows, the volume of water on our plant stays constant. It observes a water cycle of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. The form of water changes, but the total volume remains the same. According to Earth's water cycle, less than 1% of total water is accessible as fresh water. Close to 97% of the water is in the oceans and the 3% is fresh water, but most of the fresh water is inaccessible because it is locked up in ice and glaciers. 教科書38ページの表です。So, this diagram shows that the volume of water on our planet stays constant. 量が一定だということです。So we can see a water cycle of evaporation 蒸発 condensation 凝縮 and precipitation 降水 So the form of water changes but the total volume remains the same. According to Earth's water cycle, less than 1% of total water is fresh water, and 97% of the water is in the oceans, and just only 3% is fresh water, but it is inaccessible because it is locked up in ice and glaciers. As the water cycle illustrates, water is finite. If we don't change the way we are using water, it will become the oil of the 21st century. The difficult situation concerning water is even more critical than that of petroleum. Without water, life cannot be sustained. So, water is finite. So, we are using water every day. But if we don't change the way we are using water, it will become the oil of the 21st century. This is a very difficult situation. So, but it is more critical than the situation of the petroleum. So, without water, life cannot be sustained. 水は大事ですね。高取君、水を大事にしましょう。